My name is Nicola and I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, it's lovely to have you, and if you are returning, thank you for coming and spending some time with me today. So today I'm going to do a stitch with me, and I'm working on Envy, artwork by Marta, Dahlig, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, number 2 of 7 of the 7 Deadly Sins series. Well, number 2 for me. And today I'm going to do a little chatty stitch with me, and answer some questions and catch you guys up on life, really, I suppose, and what's been going on. So there we go. Right. Okay, so I'm just going to get settled. I'm working in this bottom corner of Envy, and I'm going to be sort of working in this bit and sort of joining this line up today. So I hope everybody is keeping, I'll just move my bits bag. Hope everybody's keeping well. It's been a very testing week here for a number of reasons. If you've seen my floss tube, you'll know that there's been 1 or 2 family issues, which, as I said, I'm not going into. Suffice to say that the outcome of that is that we now have 1 less person residing in this house, and it is my fond hope that as a result this house will become a happier house. Things have been quite difficult with one of my girls for the last couple of years, and now at 19 the time has come that she has left the house. But as I said, that is literally all I'm going to say on the matter. I've also been working a lot of overtime, and you'll see that I commented in my stitch with me that even though I'd done, a fair amount of stitches, it wasn't a significant amount for me and where I'm concerned. I just kind of wanted to sort of touch on that, expand a little bit on it as well. I've had a couple of comments about it, which I'll get to in a bit. Stitching is relaxation for me, absolutely it is. But also, I'm a goal-oriented person, and I do like to set myself goals. I understand and appreciate that for many people it's about the process, it's about the stitchy journey, and that's fine. But for me, I am a goal setter. So for me not to have done as much stitching, just getting a touch, for me to not have done as much stitching as I anticipated, it's not a failure per se, but it's just not as much of the goal, or in my head it's just not a satisfactory amount of stitching, if that makes sense. I stitch fairly fast, as you all know, but if time is limited because of overtime stroke family issue stroke whatever, then obviously I've got to sort of accept that. But for me, and in my head and the way my brain works, the end of the week sort of should have been better, but it's just reconciling in my head that I'm not able to do it all, I think, more than anything. So anyway, now I promised you all some drama from neighbourhood. It's been a funny week here in the UK. It's July and it's typically meant to be hot and sunny and warm. We've had thunderstorms and flash floods on and off for the last sort of couple of weeks. It's been a kind of case of getting up, put the washing on the line, and then half an hour later you're fetching it in because it's tipping it down. It's been a very strange week in terms of the good old British weather. So, as a result, not sort of been out much at all, but, you know, the people who live around us have given us plenty of entertainment. So the first thing that happened was on when was it? I think it was on the Saturday. So the first thing that happened was an ambulance pulls up for the house opposite. Now, of course, you know, the second that police car, ambulance, whatever, pulls up on the street, everybody's like little meerkats and looking out the windows. And they went into the house, and then the next thing that happened was we hear quite a lot of hullabaloo, and we're not entirely sure what the heck's going on. Now, bear in mind, it's a Saturday morning. It's absolutely bucketing it down with rain. The lady who lives in the house opposite, who we have heard, shall we say, speaking loudly down her phone at varying times, was out, and the ambulance crew came out and got into the ambulance. She got a phone in her hand. She got no shoes on, no socks, no nothing on her feet. A tiny dressing gown that literally just skimmed past her behind. A phone in her hand, and she's filming this crew and shouting. And Andy was kind of listening to it, and she was saying about the driver of the ambulance. It turned out that the driver of the ambulance was actually this lady's dad. But they'd not seen each other in a number of years. Suffice to say, it was not the happiest of meetings. So for about 20 minutes or so, she is literally bellowing at the top of her voice about this person. And she's on the phone to ambulance control, and she's saying, I don't want this person here. I want somebody else. Send him away. Send another ambulance. I understand that families do get into difficulty, but she's phoned an ambulance for a reason, and I was kind of wondering what's going on with the poor casualty that's in the house at this point. So the ambulance crew left. The next person to arrive was a police car. And then after that, another ambulance. So for a while, the police and ambulance were in the property. Then ambulance comes out and leaves, presumably with somebody in it. I couldn't quite see, because of, you know, kind of the angle, as it were. And then the police car remains behind. Now, it had been about 3 hours, I suppose, that the police car was there for. Next thing that you know, a police van turns up, unmarked, and it was the dog section. So a policeman gets out of the dog van, goes to the back of the property, and then brings out a dog. and puts the dog in the van. After about 10 to 15 minutes, van drives off. Then policeman drives off, and that was it. So, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that whoever the casualty was in the property, it was something to do with the dog. Now, whether the dog had bitten them or whether the dog had been vicious or what, I don't know, but the police don't remove an animal for no reason. It looked like the police, as I said. I mean, to be fair, it could have been the RSPCA. I honestly don't know. But anyway, suffice to say, somebody was carted off to hospital. There was a police presence for about 4 hours, and a dog was removed. So make of that what you will. All during the time it was chucking it down with rain, but this woman had also been screaming at the ambulance and screaming at ambulance control about, the person who was driving the ambulance. It provided a little bit of, I would say entertainment, but I don't really think that is it. I think distraction's more the word of a Saturday morning. So, yeah, it was, and these are different people to the ones that I've talked about before. So the ones who've had the car damaged, and the ones with the golf club and the hammer. So it seems like we're absolutely surrounded. It's not good. So yeah, it's of course at the time we've got Andy's children here as well, so they're also having a look and wondering what the flip's going on. It can't have been a very good weekend for them, because with the bad weather they weren't able to go out anywhere. Everywhere that's kind of indoor, like for example, if they were to go shopping, would be full, and it wouldn't be a pleasant experience. So but it dried up enough for him to go to the park on Sunday. So I've been, as I said, in my floss tube. I've been working a lot of overtime. Work is also a little bit of, kind of a therapy for me. It's something I can just kind of lose myself in, but I almost do it mindlessly, because I don't know if you heard what I said or saw my floss tube, but when I do overtime, it's queue work. So you pick up an item out of the queue, you work that item, and then you forward it to the next team to do their part. It's kind of a bit like a chain, and it's the link in the chain. The queue can get quite busy. I've seen it as low as 200 items, but at the weekend there was over 8,000, about 8,500 items. So as you can tell, it's a bit busier. So there we go. But the overtime keeps me, it almost distracts me more than my stitching, even though my stitching is relaxation. When I stitch, I'm not having to think an awful lot. I'm just using my eyes and hands in coordination, checking pattern keeper and just making sure I'm not going beyond the number of stitches or whatever. But work, because I do have to think about what I'm doing, is a real distraction, which for me is not a bad thing. So, but as it stands at the moment, I am currently on today will be my 10th working day in a row. And since the start of July, today's the 12th, I've done 28 hours of overtime. It'll probably be 30 by the time of the end of the day, because I'll probably do a couple of hours this evening. So, but yeah, as my mother said, make hay when the sun shines. Now, also, I just want to talk about the upcoming Stitch With Me's. With the upcoming Stitch With Me's, you may already see the completed or the further advanced from the Stitch With Me's on my floss tubes, because the week that I'm due to go away and next week, and my stitching time will be even more curtailed. Next week I'm in the office 2 days, and I've got an event one of the evenings. In fact, both of the evenings I've got events, and the office days have fell on at least one of the days where I'll be filming a Stitch With Me. So what I'm trying to do is stitch them in advance, ready to release. So my Stitch With Me's are going to be a little bit, I suppose the right way to put it is out of sequence. I've got the rest of this week and then next week, and to get, well, this is my second Stitch With Me this week. I've got to make another 4 Stitch With Me's to ensure that I've got enough to go over into my holiday time, so I can release videos still when I'm not here. What I will do is just make the next sort of 4 videos ASMR and music, and save my chatty one for the first one after I come back from holiday and get back into sequence that way, because I'll have plenty to talk about. So that is my plan. So the next 4, there'll be ASMR music, ASMR music, and then when I come back from holiday, the first thing I'll be doing is a chatty. So let's take a look at a few comments. So I'm going to start with comments on my last chatty Stitch With Me. First one is from Sharon. Thanks for an explanation, regridded fabric, no problem. And she says she used the 18 count fabric from Gecko Rouge. So it's going to buy gridded. I think the one where the stitches are within the line sounds the best. Wouldn't attempt it herself. Super Stitch With Me. I love how I go through everyone's comments. Oh, it's my pleasure. I think if you do leave a comment that you should be acknowledged for that, and I think they should be addressed wherever I'm able to do so. I mean, if ever it came a time that my channel was so big that I couldn't address comments, then you know, it might be a different matter, but as ever, I do think that you leave a comment, it should be given the attention it deserves. And, you know, she makes a good point here where she says, nothing as disheartening as asking a question for it to be liked and never replied to, especially if you're being encouraging and commenting as the creator is urged to, which I find strange. And she's looking forward to seeing what my new kit is. Well, I'm looking forward to having it arrive. It's not dispatched as yet. I'm keeping an eye on the emails. And as soon as it's dispatched, like I said, I shall be doing an unboxing of it. Sorry, not as soon as it's dispatched. As soon as it's here, I'll be doing an unboxing of it and let you guys see, you know, what it is. Next one is from Patty. Thank you so much for another fun stitchy visit and answering my question. You're welcome. I thought you had a great question there, Patty, about how I fit stitching into my life. I have to say, I mean, this week, the previous stitch with me that you'd have seen, it was actually the second time that I filmed it because Andy made the video and sent it to me on email, and then before I had time to download it and upload it to YouTube, he'd deleted the video he'd made the master. He'd also deleted the contents of his recycle bin. He'd deleted the Google Drive contents and the contents of that recycle bin. So needless to say, words were exchanged. It's a bit of a daft thing to do, deleting everything without checking with me first to see whether or not it had been downloaded. Andy can download and have up to 30 videos ready for release. I can't do that. My brain can't handle it. But then again, because he films so far in advance, it's not surprising. But my head and my brain just can't cope with that. So this email that it sent my floss tube and my stitch with me because I'd done it on the same day in the hopes of getting ahead. But then it turns out that, you know, 36 hours later, I'm having to film another one after doing a full 9-hour day at work, so 7 hours plus 2 hours of overtime. And I'm filming another video when what I really want to do is, you know, have a bath and what have you, and chill, which of course I couldn't do immediately, but anyway. So yeah, time management is vital, really, and making time is also important. Can I make time to do it? Are there enough hours in the day? If I restrict overtime to evening, I can do the extra stitching in the morning. I'm up early as it is. So yeah, I'm glad you found that insightful, Patty. Oh, camera quake. And also on that last video, the stitching may not have always been on camera, and that's simply because I was just hunkered down, focused on getting the stitching done and not really looking through the camera, which was probably in hindsight a bit daft. So drink. Next comment, when we were talking in my stitch with me about types of stitching, and I was saying about how I can't fathom diagonal stitching. MVC says I stitch across a piece, as I'm doing with the bookshelf, although not consistent in doing top down or bottom up. I guess I more often do bottom to top for some reason. I've tried the diagonal but didn't care for it. Yep. I don't think even I could comprehend even trying the diagonal. The other method, of course, that I've seen is Royal Rows, but I know now that people who've done Royal Rows are sort of going back to other methods now for whatever reason. But no, I think my way of kind of sort of trying to fill in the squares where possible, it works for me. And you know, I mean, I see plenty of progress doing that, rather than sort of being rigid, sticking in rows and columns. I do, apart from Middle Earth Map and my Afromov piece, I sort of try to be a little bit freer with the stitching and not worry if it overspills a 10 by 10 block, you know, like with this one. So okay, and then she comes back with another comment that as she's listening to me today, she's not doing cross stitch, she's unhappily trying to complete a sampler on 40 count linen. Ooh. Not stitched on 40 count. I don't think I'd want to either. I don't think my eyes could take it. Everything is done except for a large, very large red flower comprised of 140 queen stitches. Holy moly, that is a lot of queen stitch. Let me just Google what queen stitch looks like, so I just refresh myself. Queen stitch. Oh yes, yeah, I can see it now. So they're like the image is almost like a bud, and it's a triangle, a diamond shape, 4 stitches, long stitches at the top, 4 long stitches at the bottom, and then 4 stitches across the middle. 4, you know, it's like all back stitch. Oh my goodness. Oh, I wouldn't like to be doing 140 stitches of that. I don't think I'd like to be doing 4 stitches of that, never mind 140. She's still got 59 to go. She's working in 2 shades of red. Well, I hope that you're finished or close to finishing by now. She does say that it's a slow process, I can imagine, and especially annoying now that she's noticed she's miscounted somewhere and made a stitch over 5 threads instead of 4. So she's moved across to the other side and figure out if she can fudge it afterwards, which, yeah, I get. I don't think I'd want to be looking at those stitches. I don't think I'd want to be frogging them. I suspect that that would not be the simplest thing to do. I'd be interested to find out though, MVC, how you've got on with that. So, do let me know. Drop us a picture on Instagram. I'd love to see the piece. It's super. I want to see what 140 queen stitches looks like. Oof. Okay, Mrs. Miggins. Happy I was able to spend an hour stitching with you. No problem. Says that they got some rain during the night in Norfolk. I think it was at the weekend. Oh, yes. Well, I would imagine that you've had a bit more since making this comment as well, if our weather, a couple of 100 miles further north is anything to go by. And she says she lives alone and every day is the same, and she just tends to lose track of days. So, yeah, even to be fair, living in a multi-person household, I lose track of days, so it's not just confined to you, Mrs. Miggins. I lose track as well. A couple of days last week I had to ask Andy what day it was, and I was quite disappointed when it was only like Wednesday or something, and I wanted it to be Friday. Sounds like I've got my family trained well. Well, the girls are a little bit older. They know what's what, and they know how to sort of participate, I suppose, in family life enough to be able to help and support, and we all work together. And I think it's just the way it's worked, I suppose. It's just so slotted in that way. Okay. Right, so on my last, I think it was an ASMR, Clara put a comment which I've mentioned in my floss tube and kind of answered in my floss tube, but I'm going to put it on here as well, just in case you've not seen my floss tube video. I know Clara has, because she's put a comment on the floss tube. Clara asked, what she said was, I enjoy watching you stitch. I have another question to ask. I don't believe I've seen you start a new thread colour with a previously used or cut thread, which wouldn't allow you to do a loop start. Why is that? Do you save those longer cut off threads? Now, you'll remember that with my Aframov piece, I am working it 2/1 tent stitch on 25 count, and I'm doing it block by block parking. So what happens is I'll always do a loop start. The loop start that I do just helps not to have so much bulk in the back, because if you've got, where you've had to sort of go across the tail of a thread, or go through the last couple of stitches, it adds bulk, and I find that the loop start is not bulky. So I do the loop start. If I can part the thread, I do. If not, I'll cut the thread and I'll put it back on my thread card. If it's still a fairly long piece, hi Hannah, then what I'll do is I will use a single thread of that piece the next time it comes up on my Aframov piece, and just double it to create another loop start. So you do see me use the previously cut threads, just not in the format that you would expect. I'm just, I'll just re-separate the two strands and create another loop start. What doesn't get used on my Aframov piece, because I'm working the Ephraimov piece with threads from my master set, I will put them back on my thread card, and then I'll use them as for 1/1 stitching or 2/1 stitching on my other pieces, such as the bookshelf, She Sleeps, and whatever else I've got coming out of my master set. So the threads don't get wasted, and I certainly don't, do a couple of stitches and then chuck the thread length away. That's not, how I roll. I do use the thread, just perhaps not in a way that you'd expect to see me use the thread. But waste not, want not, basically. I'm not just sort of chucking it away. She also says she's working on Realm of Middle-earth tent stitch on the diagonal on, oh, crack, I can't remember what fabric count she said. Might be 28, but I could be wrong. And she says that she feels the same, that tent stitch does sort of slow things down. Tent stitch is faster, but doing the parking slows things down. So, well, I'll just pop these couple of threads away. It's a bit of a sort of a balance, really, isn't it? With tent stitch, it balances it out. I do think it's nice to get lots of different points of view about stitching. There's no rules, there's no stitching police, but it is nice to get different points of view about what we do. And like Clara says, in sharing the information is useful. I mean, I've picked up tips from other stitchers, like from Karen Needlebug, about threading, especially when you're using a small eye needle. Stitching Mommy about the typewriter method, and even the style I stitch. I believe I was watching Emily, Crafty Emily, do a stitch with me once, and she was sort of stitching like I do, so putting the needle down but not pulling the thread all the way through, excuse me, turning the needle and then pushing it through, and then just guiding the thread down with my hand underneath, and then pulling it, sort of all the way through, almost like sewing method, but without doing sort of this type of thing, if you see what I mean. So yeah, I mean, I've learned from other stitchers, even though I've been stitching for 2/3 of my life, more than 2/3. I was 14 when I did my first one. There's always something to learn. It's like everything, there's always something new to learn. You never ever in this life do you stop learning, and do you stop picking up hints and tips and ideas, and Okay, next one. So I released a flush tube this week, and I've got a few comments on it already, which I'll share with you. Not an awful lot of comments across videos this week, so do make sure that you do add a comment, and I will sort of talk about it. Norma, she was responding to me, sort of saying about the amount of stitching that I've done, and she says, with out of town company the last week and a half, she's been lax at stitching and on watching videos. Yep, does happen, doesn't it, Norma? But she's trying to catch up, and oh, I've gone over 2 there. And she says, good progress on the pieces I showed even with doing the overtime. 4,500 stitches is better than the grand total of 14. Well, yeah, but you'll have had the pleasure of some lovely company, Norma, and I don't think any amount of stitches can replace that. So, yeah. Hopefully this week will be a little bit, you'll get a little bit more stitchy time. Jodie, really enjoyed the visit. Progress still awesome. This hobby is supposed to be relaxing, not a race. Yeah, agree. But as I said, it's just my daft brain and the way it works. Sit back in the evenings and enjoy my stitching. Yeah, that's what I try and do. And whatever the numbers turn out to be, and you know, she also mentions the family, but it's a blessing perhaps that I can't reply yet. And sends prayers and looking forward to stitching with me. Thank you very much, Jodie. I'm watching your progress on your new piece, and I think it's looking fabulous already. Okay, so one of the Sharons, there's a couple of Sharons who comment on my channel. So one says, hope I'm okay and get things sorted to give myself some downtime. I certainly will. And don't worry about my downtime. I get me time. I'm going to go and get my nails done as a treat before we go on holiday as well, and just do a few things for me because I've worked very hard lately. It's been a tough time and I think I deserve it. Another Sharon says, looking forward to hearing about the neighbourly drama. Hope it was good. I also mentions I put a post on Facebook about, you know, what was going on, saying that I wouldn't be commenting on it. Enjoy the rest of the week. Thanks for sharing. Any amount of stitches is progressed. She's managed 111 today, but been opening a massive haul from Temu and seeing to my aquarium. I might get a few stitches in later. I'll be interested to know what you got from Temu, Sharon, and was it worth it? I think the jury's kind of out on it at the moment, so any feedback is gratefully received. So yeah, do let us know.
I've heard they're up and happy banking information.
Yes, I've heard that too, Hannah, but you know, I think people's personal experiences is definitely important to have, like with Sheen, isn't it?
Yeah, I love Sheen.
Okay, Mrs. Miggins, every stitch is progress, as you say, Nicola, and 4,500 stitches in a week is far in excess to many other peeps. It's just that normally you have more time to do more. Yeah, that's true. I do normally have the time to do more, but obviously with doing the overtime, it cuts into the stitchy time. It's about finding the balance. Uh, 14 hours of overtime means more money to spend. Already spent. In many ways. I've got a list already. Hannah, do you mind? The holiday will do me good. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting away. I shall take stitching with me. I should probably take I'll either take Maui Princess or Night Cafe. I'm not decided. I think I'm gearing towards Maui Princess because it's a bit small. No, I've got the wrong hole there. What I want. Okay. Sorry to hear problems. They'll settle down in the end one way or another. Yes, I hope so. Like I said earlier, I'm just looking forward to more settled, peaceful and happier times. Take care of myself and enjoy the stitches that I do. Yep, absolutely enjoy them. Doesn't matter what goes on, you know, I'll always find solace with a needle and thread. It makes me happy. Clara again mentions my family troubles and says praying it all clears up because I don't need to add that on to tiredness I'm feeling. Thank you, Clara. Thanks for answering my question about what we do with cut off floss. It does make sense. And again, she says just loves learning from other stitchers on ways to help keep the thickness in the back caused by tent stitching. Yeah, I kind of, it was, I suppose really it was the method I worked out for myself about constantly doing that loop start, Clara, because I do find that it does help with the bulk. So yeah, it is one method that I shall sort of take forward for the next tent stitch project that I do. I would imagine that if you're doing tent stitch one strand, the bulkiness will be less anyway, but because it's two strand, it just sort of seems quite thick, and I don't like that. It's got a very thick, carpety, ruggy type sort of texture to it, and the stitching, even though I've not done 4% of it yet, it's quite heavy. So okay, and I've got a couple more comments. The first one, with the amount of overtime that I've done, I'm amazed that you've been able to do as much stitching as you have. You're obviously very well disciplined. That's from MVC. Yeah, I'm keeping to my stitchy routine. I have my stitchy times, first thing in the morning, lunch break at work, in an evening, obviously around things like supermarket trips, overtime, and anything else that I've got sort of going on. So yeah, I do try and keep stay sort of disciplined to a bit of a routine with my stitching. Doesn't always work, but you know, weekends are good, and because I work the 9 to 5 life, it's really good, because I can plan my weekends. Like this weekend on Saturday, we are going out with Andy for a video for his channel. I'll get some stitchy time in the afternoon, and then on Sunday I will be doing some overtime, but in between, me and Hannah will be going and getting our nails done, which I'm quite looking forward to. And then, as I said, is it this Sunday that we'll be doing that? Yeah, it is. Was it this Sunday or was it the following Sunday we're getting his nails done?
It's this weekend, definite.
Oh yeah, because it's a week on Saturday that we go away, isn't it?
And then
Yeah.
going to one of my shield.
Uh-huh.
I have to go after work. Because one in the middle of Park Gate, you can go Sunday. But on that week, it's quite expensive.
Right, you said you check on the one in the bus station, didn't you, today?
Yeah, I'll look at that in a bit.
Right, okay. We might be going in an evening then, so yeah, but we'll get it sorted out. It'll check its way out one way or another. So there we go. Okay. Patricia says sometimes life happens and interferes with our stitchy plans. Yes, it absolutely does. No worries, because every stitch is one less you've got to do later. That's very true. Project's coming along well, especially the map and the night cafe. Yeah, map's had some extra work on it, so we can sort of see, the extra that's been done on it now. I hope things will work out so there won't be any more issues on a home front in future. So do I. Been there, done that. It can be difficult to recover if all parties are not on the same page. Very true. I'm kind of working on the best thing to say in this scenario is nothing at all at the moment. So there we go. And last one is Sally Ann Cole. And Sally Ann says, amazing amount of stitches considering the overtime. So yeah, and since sort of stitching here and doing this video, I've probably done at least another couple of hundred. I'll have a tot up in a minute. Just love Pattern Keeper. Yeah, 195 stitches this morning. So even though it's just a little less than an hour, I am going to leave it there, as I've now run out of comments. And you know, 195 stitches whilst chatting away in 50 minutes isn't bad, is it? But yeah, so now we've got the bottom left corner done, and this is obviously the very bottom row of the pattern. So just now a case of getting some more filled in and working on this beautiful piece. And I don't think it's going to be many days more of working on this before we're back at the top. So yeah, so as I said, I'm going to leave it there. So thank you very much indeed for watching, spending some time with me today. Do check, as I say, you know, that you are subscribed. Beware of the YouTube phantom unsubscription. And if you do have a minute, take time, go and watch another video of mine. There's plenty in the bank, and I will try and keep this output coming out as regularly as I can for you, and see if we can see some more stitchy progress. So take care. Thanks. Oh, excuse me. See, stitching is so relaxing. Take care. Happy stitching. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.